The Alleghany Journal has found a pair of pretty important people in our community who have been involved with the creation of a drug court. And with us on the right is Commonwealth attorney Gardner, and at left is Alleghany Highlands Community Services Executive Director Ingrid Barber. Ingrid, this all came together in 2020. Can you tell the public, give the public a little bit of a feel for the background, how it all got started?
Well, best practices were reviewed, and back in 2019, Ann and I were meeting together and talking about how it would be nice for us to have a local drug court here in our county and also with the city of Covington. And we just started meetings and conversations about it, and we got other stakeholders involved, and data had to be compiled about what was going on here in our area as far as substances, drug use, incarcerations, and things of that nature. And all of that was gathered so that we could begin the process of submitting an application.
But having a drug court, is that a move on the part of any given community to deal with prison population or the substance abuse, or both at the same time?
Well, in today's society, I think that there is a move to trying to help people with incarceration and to provide treatment and recovery options instead of locking people up. And we just felt like here in our area, in our community, that this was something that we could all partner together as stakeholders to make happen, and also to help. It wasn't going to prevent, but to help the jail population that we have here locally.
And this doesn't just happen, does it? I mean, as Commonwealth attorney, it took a lot of organization. You got some other interested individuals from other counties, and actually they may be modeling their programs on what you two or many of you have created.
That's right. We had a lot of community interest in this. I had a number of citizens in the community come to me, and one of the things that made this possible is that we now have a sitting judge who's receptive to this idea. When Judge Stein took the bench, we had a regular judge that we could coordinate the drug court through, and it's based on a model through the Supreme Court. And so when we realized there was an interest, I contacted the Supreme Court and had their representative come to Alleghany County. And we had a meeting to discuss how you go about developing a drug court program. And we invited the surrounding counties. We invited Rockbridge, Botetourt, Buena Vista, and so forth. So we had a meeting with the Supreme Court to learn how to develop it. Alleghany developed its program, and we couldn't have done it without Ingrid. Ingrid did a lot of the paperwork and the grants. So we developed our program and were approved, and as a result of that, we worked with Botetourt and some of the other counties, and Botetourt and Craig have now been approved for their own drug court, and they modeled theirs on in part on what we did.
With respect to severity of sentence, is it true, should the public get a feel that maybe these sentences aren't as serious or as lengthy as it may have been in the past? Or is this, although it's an alternative to incarceration, still a pretty serious situation when drug crimes are prosecuted, Ingrid?
Well, this is a heavily monitored program. So not only is treatment modalities a part of it, but there's also the protocol where individuals are monitored by probation and parole, and then they have to report to court weekly. So we provide reports to the judge on their progress, and we help them with aftercare, we help them with education, we help them with all of these different things to make them successful in the community. So it's a pretty heavily monitored program. The individual is not incarcerated, so to speak, because they are out participating in this traditional court. But it keeps them out. And there's sanctions, and there's also a reward for people who go from phase to phase and they make progress throughout the period. But the time frame usually for someone is from 12 to 18 months if they participate with drug court and they complete the treatment modalities, and also if they show up and participate and are integral part of the program.
And you have the burden of being the prosecutor. How do you determine who's worthy of getting drug court and who gets maybe a little tougher hammer?
Well, that's a good question, and in any drug court, the Commonwealth's attorney is considered the gatekeeper, and there's a reason for that, because as a Commonwealth attorney and being part of law enforcement, we have more information about the particulars of the crime itself, the background of the individuals, their criminal history. We also can consult with law enforcement. So we're in a position to make the decision initially on whether that person is acceptable to enter the program. And there are certain things that statutorily would prohibit them, certain violent crimes, violent convictions, and so forth. So I welcome that, and it's a prosecutorial decision initially whether to put somebody in. And the success of the program really depends on putting the right people in. They have to be motivated. And I screen people and consider all of those things, and hopefully we have people who are motivated and will do well.
With respect to volume, how do you know when you have too many? You certainly won't have too few, but do you have a program limit? How does this work?
Well, we necessarily haven't really put a cap, but I think in the planning stages, Ann and I talked about 25 possibly. We'd like to get to some number. And we're in excess of 10 right now, and it's currently still growing because Anna's getting referrals and they're being reviewed on a daily basis.
And it's not easy to get any judge to do X or Y. In this particular case, Circuit Court Judge Ed Stein was amenable to the idea from the start?
Absolutely. I think that when he was the Commonwealth's attorney, he also was in favor of having a drug court. It just all came together because now we have a sitting judge and we can do it. This is a teamwork concept. I mean, none of us could function without the other. So the judge is amenable to it, and the way we get somebody into a drug court is through the court. There's a plea that's entered, and somebody we have a post-conviction model in Alleghany. Every county is different. We have a post-conviction model. So they have to come and enter a plea of guilty to their charges. That happens in front of the court. That is worked out between my office and the defense attorney, and the sanctions and the consequences of not completing drug court are also worked out initially, and they can be fairly high.
So we got to thank Ed and also Kevin Hall, Sheriff Hall, because they both had a vision for drug court here locally also. And I also think thanks goes to Senator Credeeds for making it happen so that Judge Stein was nominated so that he could be a judge here because we didn't have a sitting judge.
Really was a team effort, huh?
Yes.
Well, we thank you very much for the background and the specifics, Ann. And we hope the public's got a little bit better idea how this drug court works. Thanks again.
Thank you.